Welcome to the O'Brien Brief. I'm Tony O'Brien. Property management is one of the last large industries running on manual processes. Lease creation, tenant screening, rent collection, vendor coordination, maintenance routing, most of it all still happens through human-touched workflows in firms across the country. Property managers spend their day dealing with administrative friction rather than growing their portfolios. Most software in the space records what happens. It doesn't run the business. My guest today is one of the founders trying to change all that. Timmy Ryerson is the founder of Smart Property Systems, an AI-embedded platform built to actually run a property management operation. Applications, screening, leases, rent collection, maintenance, vendor management automatically adapted to each operator's specific business model rather than forcing them into a one-size-fits-all template. Timmy's been at this for 14 years. She survived a failed dot-com era launch. She built and shipped a platform in 2015 that was forced offline by industry disruption. And she's now coming back with a rebuilt AI first version of the platform, launching this spring 2026. Today, we're talking about what AI actually changes for property management, what 14 years of building, failing, and rebuilding has taught her, and what property managers from independent landlords to enterprise operators should be demanding from their tools. Timmy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anthony. I'm really looking forward to this. It's my life's work actually right now, and it's been so much fun.
I know we're going to get an education today. But before we get into the platform itself, I want to set the stage for our audience. You've been working in property management software for over 14 years.
Yes.
Through some hard chapters. Walk us through this arc, how you got into this industry, what happened with the earlier attempts, and what made you decide to rebuild from scratch.
Well, Anthony, I got into this industry many, many years ago, actually, in the 80s, in the maybe late 70s. I bought some properties and was managing them myself. And I was not trained as a property manager. I'd never done it before. I just listened. I would iron in the late night and listen to a course online that taught me about property management. And it told me to hire a buyer broker. So I did that and went out and found a property, even though I probably could have gone out and found one on my own. I followed the instructions to a T, and I found some very, very good properties. I spent 20 years, 30 years managing those residential units, and my family also had commercial properties that they asked me to jump in and manage. So I started out the hard way with no software, managing by hand, like so many people are doing even still today. I met my current husband in the early 2000s, and his background is pretty much the same, except that he's a developer. He used to build the units, residential units. He was Boeing's biggest landlord at one point. So he's done commercial and residential building. And his passion was to develop a software for property management. He did it in the .com era and ended up getting a .bomb. And so together, as we developed our marital community thing and started making money as a married couple, we decided to buy a property management company. And that was in 2011. It was delivered, the software was delivered to us January of 2012. And we knew nothing about software, nothing. I had been a speech pathologist way back in the day, and as a speech pathologist, I was tasked with developing therapies for brain damaged patients and brain different patients so that we could teach them to regrow neurons and learn again tasks that they needed to have to be successful with their life. And that actually translated quite well into learning how to write software. So over the years, we took this broken little company that we bought that was poorly architected and poorly designed, had software that would get bugs in it we could never find. And we rebuilt version 2. So we launched version 2 in 2015, and we've learned so many lessons from that process that now we're at version 3. And so that's how I got in. And I've learned lots of good things, lots of difficult things. And I think we've kind of got the secret sauce now, finally.
Well, it's been 11 years since you've made this version 3, and you could have rebuilt at any point in the last decade. Why is it now the right moment for AI embedded property management platform? What changed in this market, in the technology, or in your own thinking that made this the right time to ship?
We actually had a little serendipity, I think. We ran out of money on our version 2, on our version 3 initial build. We ran out of money. We hired a company that had a contract to finish at a date certain, and they just couldn't get it done on time. And rather than, we went on and on with them for another 6 months, and they never could get it done. So they basically ran us out of money. So we had to find new financing, and that process took a while. And in the meantime, I told you we had lessons to learn. One of our payment processors was purchased by another payment processor, and they could not process our payments. And so we went offline for a while. And when we came back with this new financing, I had told my programmers a year earlier that we needed to learn everything there was about AI. It was up and coming. And by the time we got this money, AI was there. And one day my CTO, who has been with me since 2012, came to me and said, "I cracked the nut. We've got it. We figured out how to build with AI, and we can embed this into our software. Tell me what you want." So the speech pathologist in me went to work with AI, building the tiny little hierarchical steps that we needed to put in so that this new software, AI, could build documentation and steps in the background so people don't have to see it in the front ground when they're going in and using it. The AI does all the work for them in the background, but they don't have to go in and do all that work anymore. It's just automated.
Hmm.
And so I think it was serendipity. We didn't get the money until it was time, and we were able to get this built in a few months, and it's almost ready for launch. So we're pretty excited about it. And actually, people have been hearing about it and contacting us already. So, yeah.
As I mentioned in my opening, most property management software is record keeping at heart. Tenants, leases, and payments are all stored in a database that humans operate. You've described smart property systems differently as software that runs the business, not
Yeah.
just records it. Walk us through what it actually means. What does AI, artificial intelligence, do at smart property systems? Their traditional property management software doesn't.
Let me tell you kind of in a simple way. Our V2 and all of the systems that are available online today, they are human driven with software support. Our new software is software driven, and we bring humans in for oversight and decision making only. So let's take a tenant application process. We send a web flyer out when somebody notifies us that the software is notified that they're not going to extend their lease, they're going to move out. And that's usually 1 or 2 months of notification. Automatically, the system will turn on the web flyer for that unit. So it goes out into many URLs to start advertising that unit as vacant. When a person sees that unit, if they're interested in applying for it, we have an application that's built into the web flyer. So they fill out the application, and it gives them all the information that the person who's the responsible person in the software platform, it might be the subscriber, it might be a staff member who's assigned to that property, but that responsible person will be notified once that application has been returned. But the person has the ability to pay the application fee online. Once the application fee is paid, a tenant screening is sent out to them automatically. Nobody has to choose. And because of the way we have settings set up in the software, that correct group of reports has already been chosen by the subscriber who runs that business as to which reports they want to run on their applicants. So the applicant gets the tenant screening, they fill it out, and when the tenant screening is returned, that application and tenant screening is notified to the responsible person, and they get to look at all the data in one place. And then they get to make a decision as to whether they want to rent to that person. Of course, we recommend that they do a little bit more work that we can't do for them. We recommend that they contact the employer and verify employment, that they contact the previous landlord. All of that data is in the application, of course. And then there are state compliant issues, and I'll tell you, some states don't allow people to see criminal data before they've looked at the credit report. So our system will automate that for those states that require those things. We're state compliant with every single state in the nation. So for lease creation, for example, or for the order that you have to look at a tenant screening to be compliant, we will set those tenant screening reports up so you only can look at them in the right order. So there's nobody doing anything out of line. All of that is automated, and the only decision that person has to make is whether they want to rent to that tenant. If they want to rent to them, the lease is automated. They just click a button and it creates the lease for them on that particular property. So everything is done for the subscriber and their staff. And the only decision that had to be made was whether that person was put into the guest list and not rented to at that point, or made a tenant.
Wow. Well, one of the pieces of the platform I want our listeners to understand is the maintenance side. Maintenance requests are where property management businesses live or die operationally.
Exactly.
Right? They're the moment of truth with tenants. Walk us through how the Smart Property Systems handles maintenance and vendor coordination, and why that piece is so important.
Well, you're exactly right, Tony. And I'll tell you, the biggest complaint tenants have, and we've seen this over the last 15 years, is that they never get their maintenance requests done. And then when they do, they're messy, or the guy doesn't show up on time. So we've gone through all of that with our tenants and with our subscribers for many years. Plus, I had to deal with it myself when I owned and managed properties by hand. What we've done is we've automated the system, and that works the following way. A tenant has a leaky sink, and they want it fixed. It's not only wasting water, it's making a mess in the bathroom. They log into their tenant portal, and if they don't know where to go, Grace will tell them. Grace is the bot that helps every single portal user figure out how and where to go to do what they want to do. So they may type in, I have a repair to report, and Grace will say, I'm pulling up the repair message system now. Just type in your message and send it. They type in the message. They can actually take pictures and attach pictures if they want. And that message goes automatically into the vendor system that's been set up with all of the subscribers' preferred vendors. So this particular repair it's a plumbing repair. It will be sent to the preferred plumbing repair people that subscriber has set up in their system. Excuse me. So the plumbing supply people get the repair, get the pictures, or get the message. They are given a job, a job request. They fill out the job and do a bid, and it comes back into the system. And the next day or that day, later in the day, when they've got all the vendor bids in, or even at least two, the responsible person for that bid is notified by Grace, and it says right there, you have a task here. Here are your bids. And the bids will be pulled up. They make a choice between which bid they want to use. And if that bid is over the minimum price that a owner has approved, it can then be sent to the owner for approval by pressing a button. The owner will get a notification. They can approve the bid, send it back, and then a work order is created automatically and sent out without anybody having to do anything because they've already chosen the vendor. The work order is sent to the vendor contacts the tenant with the system because they get access to the tenant portal and send a message to the tenant saying, I can be here this day, or this day. The tenant chooses when, and a message is sent back with the date that they're coming, a picture of the vendor, and any information that the tenant requires regarding their qualifications. And all the qualifications are entered into the system. So they have their licenses, they have their insurance, they have their uh, uh, bond information. And that information is noticed to the subscriber if it's getting to a point where it's getting out of date. So everything is kept up to date all the time. And what we've tried to do is get this so that people can have their repairs done, in a week, unless it's an emergency. If it's an emergency where there's no heat or there's no water or there's no hot water, that can be escalated. So we're really excited about it. It's an amazing process. And
Another benefit you emphasize is that the platform adapts to each client's business model rather than forcing them into a one-size-fits-all template. That's the opposite of how most SaaS platform positions themselves. Why is that approach right for property management? Specifically, what does it mean for an operator who's evaluating your platform?
well, there are different levels of qualifications for property management. There are some people who have no idea, they've never run a property management company before. Our system can set those people up successfully so that they can't fail. Then there are people who have tried and made mistakes. Their property, what do you call it? Their ROI per unit is not good. They're not making money. And we can work with them and make recommendations for them to set their system up using our onboarding specialists and our sales team, who are very well trained, so that they can become successful by pricing their product correctly. And for the people who are very experienced and know exactly what they're doing, we can let them set their system up exactly the way they want it to. And it's done, Tony, and done, Anthony, by setting up the settings in our system. We have a whole system of settings that set up, for example, they'll be able to set the commission that they want to charge. And they will be able to set up their late fee systems. They'll be able to say how many days they want to give their tenants grace periods. We have several kinds of late fees that they can set up. They can choose which ones to set up and which ones they don't want to use. We've got adaptations, which I can go into more detail later if you want, but I'm not going to get stuck on late fees. There are every kind of, for the application fee, they set up their application fees so that it's automated. And once we get their data onboarded with our onboarding team and go live, those settings go live and they work for every unit. And if they have commercial units that they want to set up that are different, we can do that too. So it's very adaptable for whatever a property management company is managing. And we have the ability to manage all types of commercial properties, mini storage, mobile home parks, associations. I'm pretty sure we could even manage marinas if somebody came on and wanted to manage their marina. But any type of residential property, single family, multiple family with storage units, multiple family with large buildings that have party rooms and business rooms and things like that that need to be rented out. All of that can be set up on our software.
So you can really specialize your software to match any need that that
Yes,
particular client has use of.
right. So once they set it up the way they want their business to run, it runs the way they want it to run. And if they don't have any idea how they want their business to run, we have people who can help them to set it up so that they will be successful day one.
So you've got training that's also included in your software that typically is not available to anybody.
Yeah, well, Grace is the bot that comes in and runs everything. And Grace has been built with guardrails. We're very well aware of people's fear about using AI. So we've been very careful when we build Grace that she can only do certain things and she cannot, for example, she's not going to come in and talk to you about your marriage or talk to you about how your kids didn't, show up last night at the time and what you're going to do about it. She may she may commiserate with you, but she will say, okay, now let's get to business. This is what needs to be done today. And she'll keep you on task. And, usually it takes about 10 or 15 minutes a day to run your whole business. If you are a company that has 100,000 units, we're pretty sure that you've got staff that's assigned to groups of units. And so each of the staff members has their own portal and they only see the units that they're assigned to. So we'll work with them individually to be sure that what they're assigned to gets done every single day. And so it's a whole different way of doing business than anything that you've ever experienced before.
Hmm.
And we think it's going to be a game changer. And we were actually able to get patents on all of this because nobody's done it before. So we're patent pending on all of our software.
You brought up a very touchy subject. Most software founders don't talk about openly fear of change. Property managers have experienced challenges with software transitions. Migration is expensive, training is painful, and the tools rarely deliver what has been promised.
Exactly.
How does Smart Property Systems address that? And what would you say to a property manager listening now who's nervous about adopting an AI-driven platform?
We agree with them. We totally agree with them. We've watched it. We used to do free trials, and we don't do it anymore, Anthony, because nobody wants to take the time to upload data. And so now we do demos. And what we're trying to do with these demos is adapt the demo to the type of account system that you have. So if you're managing 10 to 20 properties or even one property, we have a demo that specifically is designed to help you understand how the system is going to work for you before you try to onboard and come on with our software. If you have medium-sized accounts where you're managing 500 or 750 properties, we have a demo that works for you that'll show you how each of the aspects of our software works before you make that leap. And the same for somebody who's got 10,000 or 100,000 properties under management. We can show you how that works and how each of the different levels for your staff works using these demos. So you get to see what we can do for you before you make the leap, first of all. Second of all, we've designed a whole onboarding process. As I mentioned earlier, our salespeople will work with you to set up your subscription so that your settings are all correct, and it may take a while to do that depending on the size of your account. And they'll help you with the development or setting up your merchant account. I will say one thing about our merchant account. We're working with a very, very good processor. And we will get you an account that you don't have to pay money to use credit cards because we're SAQ.-A compliant, and we will make you SAQ-A compliant because we are. And if you come through our software, there's no reason why you can't be SAQ-A compliant. So we have that all set up for you and ready to go. You will be able to get a merchant account or as many merchant accounts as you need in one day. And so all of that is done for you. It's not a scary process because we walk you through the whole thing. Once you've got that all set up and you're ready to go, we hand you off to our white glove onboarding team who will work with you to discuss your particular needs. If you've got a small account, we can usually get you onboarded, all your data downloaded, and we help you. We've got, depending on where your data is coming from, if you are on spreadsheets, we will give you templates to fill out. If you are on another software company, we have templates for each type of software that's out there, and we will show you how to do your downloads. We can't do your downloads for you, but we've got everything for you to do them and make it easy. Somebody will either walk you through it on a meeting or send you the template and you can do it for yourself. There's one company that kind of doesn't like to release their data. I won't mention that company online, but I think when you get to us, you'll know who you are. We do have people that we've hired to help you to collate that data and bring it down into a template if you so desire to change. Sometimes that's a little bit longer process, but depending on the size of your company, we can get you up and running with some of your units in just a few days. So I hope that answers your question. If you've got
It
more.
does. It's well laid out. What's interesting to me is that each new customer is going to have their own onboarding experience,
Yes.
which is very unique, and everyone's going to feel like they're being taken care of, that they're being managed professionally within your organization.
Yes, and they'll work with the same onboarding specialist until everything is done. And that onboarding specialist will be available to them for as long as they need to be sure that they are satisfied and everything is working well.
That's fabulous. Let's zoom out for a minute. Let's talk. Property management's going to change a lot over the next 5 years, as you've already iterated.
Mm-hmm.
AI is reshaping every workflow, every heavy industry. For a property manager listening to this, who's not at smart property systems yet, what should they be demanding from their tools today? What questions should they be asking when they evaluate any platform, yours or someone else's?
Well, that's difficult to answer in this way, Anthony. The reason I'm saying that is because if they're on a current system, I could name a few, but everybody kind of knows what the main systems are that are out there. They're already set. They've got a platform, they've got a stack that's built, they've got lots of customers on that stack. There is no way for the developer to embed AI into an existing old stack. It's just not possible. The only thing they can hope to do is slap some AI on as an overlay or as an add-on, and it just isn't going to be the same. They can ask for it, they can demand it, but in order for this kind of thing to be built, they've got to start from a fresh tech stack. And that's a very difficult ask. So I guess my answer would be there really isn't any way for anybody that's on a current older software to get what we've got today on our new software, even if they beg. They get an overlay or they get an add-on. I know that one of them has done sort of an overlay, and as my sales staff describes it, it sits down over the top of what's existing and answers questions, but it can't do the work. You still have to go in and do the work by hand.
So it's all still manual. It's just a Band-Aid on a very large flesh wound.
Yeah, they can tell you what to do. They can tell you how to do it, but you still have to go do it by hand. And then it records what you did.
Okay. Do you have an average length of time on an onboarding process? Does it vary with the number of units that's involved? 10 unit versus 100 unit? Is there pretty much an understanding what that onboarding process is going to look like?
It really depends on how quickly our new subscriber brings the data back. And you understand that we cannot go in to somebody else's subscription and pull data for them. We have to give them a template they have to download that data and put it into the template. We make that easy, but if they do that in a day, we can upload it and have them ready the next day. We like to go through and test everything. We actually put them onto a staging server to test them first. And then we test their data to make sure it's all correct.
Hmm.
And once we're sure that it's all correct, then we go, it's time. We can click the button now if you're ready. And we can demonstrate what they've got before we go live and make sure that they're ready. And then once we click it, it's live and they're ready to go. The other thing that we do with that is we have invitations. You see, we've got 5 portals. Most other softwares have 2. They've got a tenant portal and a manager portal. We have 5. So we've got a subscriber that's not a portal. That's the subscriber always logs in. But we have a staff portal. The staff gets only access to properties and information that they've been assigned to. And that assignment is done in the system. So that's part of the settings thing. We've got a vendor portal that communicates with the vendor so that they can send information back and forth into the system. And by the way, when they finish that repair, they can put photos in and send an invoice that goes into the ledger that's ready to be approved in the ledger. It's already been approved by the responsible person, but it has to be approved again for payment in the ledger. And there's a system for that too, a whole approval process that I haven't told you about. But all of that is uploaded and ready to go. So actually, if somebody gives us back 10 units or 15 units in a day, they can be turned on that day. If somebody has 150 or 250 units and they get us the data, we can upload it and test it probably in 2 days. Our teams are, tasked with getting this onboarding done as quickly as possible, so our people can get started.
So, Timmy, you're an early stage operator with a 14-year arc behind you and a launch in front of you. When you look out 3 to 5 years from today, what does property management look like at scale? What are the operators who win going to look like? And what does the industry look like for the ones who don't adapt?
Obviously, I'm a little biased here. I really believe that those people who are willing to take the risk, make the jump, are going to be the first people that are done with the dilemma of owners not being happy with their property management. We've got people who have looked at this system and said, I cannot believe how transparent this is for my owners. I'm not going to have any problem with them anymore. They're going to be able to look at all their data that they need to see in a heart. They can log into their portal. They can see their leases. They can see their rent roll. They can see the approval systems for their repairs, and they can see the history of their repairs. They can see the owner report that gets automated and sent to them every month on the 10th day of the month. And they get to see exactly what's been paid for by the system and what they have to pay for in addition. And they have a grace that will help them to read those reports if they have questions, so they don't have to call me anymore. So
Interesting.
The biggest thing I think is going to be that the phone is going to stop ringing because tenants aren't going to call, and the owners aren't going to call, vendors aren't going to call, and the only people that are going to call are going to be the new owners that want to come on their system because it's automated.
So peace of mind is going to be a big part of this process.
Totally. I think that's the biggest thing that's going to happen with property management. We just, are standing up our new landing page and it asks, does your property management business run you or do you run your property management business?
Fair question.
And that's the history of property management. It's always been that it runs the people that are in it and it runs them ragged.
It's been labor intensive, no question about it.
So now we've changed that. And it's been my dream since I used to have to do it, to be able to build this system that's automated so that I can own 150 properties and run them myself and not have to be there. I can be anywhere in the world to do it. So
You know, what I see as a capitalist is your property management software is going to allow property managers who've been sorely underpaid for years and years will
Yes.
now start seeing more to their bottom line because they can reduce the time spent and the operating costs to do just a general job that we're discussing right now.
In fact, Anthony, you know what we did? We put in a side ledger so that the property managers can run their own business on that side ledger, so they can track their income and their expense. And we even have a box at the top of their landing page, of their login dashboard, that gives them their revenue per unit on an ongoing day-to-day basis, so they can see their revenue per unit, so they can be sure that they're making enough money to be successful. And if they're not, they need to go into their settings and change their pricing.
There's nothing better than making more money, especially on the property management side, which has always been considered the stepbrother of real estate and real estate operations. So,
Ugly stepsister.
yeah, absolutely. All right, here's your last question, Timmy.
All right.
14 years is a long arc. You've built, shipped, lost, rebuilt. What's the lesson from your career that most informs how you run smart property systems today that you wish you had known when you started this trip?
Oh, that's a biggie. That's a good question. Um, you know, the issue is I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done it because we didn't have the tools. I tried with V2 to build a system that was automated. We tried everything we could, but there wasn't AI, and we couldn't do it. Everything had to be hands-on. So I guess my lesson is that what we've got available today has never been available before. I'm grateful to have been able to figure it out so quickly and come in and be able to be the first to do this. I guess the lesson is, be willing to make change. And it was a big leap for us to trust that we could use AI to build this system and make it work successfully. It was a big leap. But for those people who are willing to make change, it's going to pay off. And 5 years from now, everybody's going to be doing this.
So you're just ahead of the curve.
Maybe. I would hope that I've always been a little bit in that way, but I always try to keep current to what's happening. And I don't know. I think, as I said before, I think it's serendipity. We're just here at the right time, at the right place, with financing and the right, very, very brilliant people, software engineers, that were able to do this.
Well, there's nothing to end a conversation better than that. It's been a substantive conversation about what actually AI can actually do once it's embedded thoughtfully into a workflow heavy industry, and what it takes to come back from setbacks to ship something new and better. For listeners who want to follow Smart Property Systems as the new platform launches this spring, we'll link the company in the show notes. Timmy Ryerson, thank you for the time today. Once again, I've learned an awful lot, which I enjoy doing, and I know our audience will also feel far smarter this weekend than they were prior to your engagement with us. To the audience, if you got value out of this conversation, share it with a property operator or a SaaS founder who's been through a hard chapter. We'll be back next week with another guest building serious things. Until then, I'm Tony O'Brien. Thanks for listening to the O'Brien Brief.